I caught my little brother wearing my leather leggings at 2 a.m., and I wish that was the worst thing I found him doing. My brother Noah was 11, quiet kid, always nervous, always clinging to me. After our mom died, it got worse. He'd follow me around the house constantly like he was scared I'd disappear too. At first, I thought it was sweet. Then it became unsettling. He started sneaking into my room, not stealing money, not taking electronics, my clothes, mostly my leggings, especially the black leather pair I wore all the time. I only found out because one morning they smelled like his shampoo. I confronted him gently. I figured maybe he was experimenting or trying to feel close to me somehow. But the second I asked him about it, he burst into tears, like full body sobbing. Then he begged me not to die. I froze. I asked him what he meant, and he said something I still hear in my nightmares. Your clothes still smell like you when you're gone. Gone, not dead. Gone. I told myself he was traumatized from losing mom. Kids say weird things when they're grieving. But after that, I started noticing things. My bedroom door would creak open at night, tiny footsteps in the hallway. Sometimes I'd wake up and see my closet door slightly open. One night I pretended to be asleep. At around 3 a.m., Noah slowly walked into my room. He thought I was sleeping. He opened my dresser carefully. Then he pulled out the leather leggings and held them against his chest, just breathing them in and crying silently, whispering, "Please don't leave too." I should have comforted him. Instead, I got scared, really scared. The next morning, I told my aunt about it. She looked disturbed, but not surprised. Then she told me something that made my stomach drop. Apparently, Noah did the exact same thing after Mom died. He'd wear her sweaters, sleep in her bed, sit in her closet smelling her perfume for hours. But here's the part nobody told me. 3 days before Mom died, Noah kept warning everyone. He told her not to drive. He cried when she picked up her car keys. He even told my aunt, "Mommy smells different now." Nobody listened, and she died in a crash that same night. After hearing that, I started avoiding Noah. I know that sounds horrible, but every time he looked at me, it felt like he knew something I didn't. Then I noticed bruises appearing on my body, tiny black marks on my arms. I kept getting dizzy, exhausted. And every single night, Noah would stare at me during dinner like he was counting down to something. Finally, I snapped. I screamed at him. I asked him if he thought I was going to die. He started crying instantly. Then he whispered, "You already are." That night, I locked my bedroom door. Around midnight, I woke up to scratching, soft scratching, right outside my door. I looked through the crack underneath and saw Noah sitting there in my leather leggings, rocking back and forth, holding something. At first, I thought it was one of my shirts. Then lightning flashed through the hallway window, and I realized it was a black wig, my hair, my exact hairstyle. I opened the door so fast I nearly knocked him over. And that's when I saw what he was really holding. Not a wig, a scalp covered in dark, wet hair. I started screaming. Noah started screaming too, crying hysterically. Then he shouted, "Oh, you weren't supposed to see yourself yet." I ran, straight outside, barefoot, sobbing. And when the police finally arrived, they didn't search the house. They searched the woods behind it, because apparently my body had already been found earlier that evening, buried shallow near the trees. Estimated time of death, 3 days ago. The same day Noah started wearing my clothes nonstop.
I still don't know what was standing outside my daughter's window. My wife died 3 months ago. Car accident. Drunk driver crossed the median. Instant. At least that's what everyone kept telling me. Instant. Like that was supposed to help. Since then, it's just been me and my 6-year-old daughter, Lily, in our old house at the edge of town. And lately, she'd been saying strange things. The first time was during breakfast. She looked up from her cereal and said, "Mommy was in my room last night." I froze. I told myself she was grieving. Kids imagine things. So I smiled and asked what Mommy said. Lily shrugged. She told me not to let the tall man inside. I felt this cold pressure in my chest. What tall man? The one outside my window. I immediately checked. Nothing there. We lived near woods, so I assumed she saw a tree shadow or some random person walking by. Still that night, I locked every door. At around 2:13 a.m., I woke up to Lily screaming, not crying. Screaming, I ran into her room. She was sitting upright in bed, pointing at the window. There he is. My blood turned to ice. Because for a split second, I thought I saw something move outside. Tall. Too tall. Like someone standing unnaturally straight. But by the time I reached the glass, it was gone. I called the police anyway. They searched the property. Nothing. One officer actually laughed and told me grief can spread to children. I barely slept after that. The next few nights got worse. Lily started talking to someone in her room, whispering, giggling sometimes, then crying. One night I pressed my ear against her door and heard her say, "No, Mommy said you can't come in." Then silence. The next morning I asked who she was talking to. She looked confused. "The tall man," I snapped. I told her there was no tall man, no ghosts, no monsters, and she burst into tears. Then she whispered, "He gets angry when you say he isn't real." That same night, the power went out. Entire house. Pitch black. I grabbed a flashlight and checked the breaker in the basement. That's when I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow, heavy, not Lily's. I shouted her name and sprinted upstairs. Her bedroom door was open, window wide open, curtains blowing, and Lily was gone. I don't think I've ever felt fear like that before. I searched everywhere, outside, the woods, the road, nothing. Then I heard her voice from downstairs, soft. "Daddy." I nearly collapsed running toward it. She was standing in the kitchen, barefoot, completely still. I grabbed her and started crying. As I held her, she quietly said, "He said Mommy lied." I pulled back. "What?" Lily stared toward the dark hallway. "He said she's not dead." I felt sick. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Static. Then breathing. And finally, my wife's voice. Crying. "Don't let him see her." The call cut off. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Then Lily slowly pointed behind me. I turned toward the hallway and saw a figure standing there. Tall. Thin. Its head nearly touching the ceiling. No face. Just darkness. But where its eyes should have been. I saw my wife's wedding ring hanging from a long, crooked finger. Then Lily whispered something I'll never forget. "Daddy." That's not the tall man. And the thing in the hallway smiled.
Weird. Not dangerous. Not scary. Just weird. He was 14 when our parents died. I was 22. So overnight, I became his legal guardian. And honestly, he barely reacted to their deaths. No crying, no breakdown, nothing. At the funeral, he just stood there staring at the closed casket like he was waiting for someone to get out. People whispered about it for weeks. But I defended him. Everyone grieves differently. That's what I kept saying. Then the nightmares started. Every single night, I'd wake up at exactly 3:14 a.m., and every night, my brother would be standing in the hallway, just staring at my bedroom door, not moving, not blinking. The first time it happened, I almost had a heart attack. I asked him what he was doing. He said, "I was making sure you were still alive." Then he smiled. I laughed it off. I shouldn't have. A few weeks later, things got worse. Objects in the house started moving, cabinets open, front door unlocked, pictures missing from the walls. I thought maybe my brother was acting out from trauma, until I found the notebook, hidden under his mattress. It was full of names, dozens of them, teachers, neighbors, random strangers, and next to each name, a date. Some dates were crossed out, some weren't. At the very last page was my name. No date, just my name. I confronted him immediately. He didn't even deny it. He just stared at me and said, "You weren't supposed to find that yet." I demanded to know what the dates meant. And I swear to God, he looked confused that I didn't already know. Then he said, "Those are the days they die." I called a therapist the next morning. I genuinely thought he was losing his mind. Or maybe I was. But then something happened that I still can't explain. One of the names in the notebook was our neighbor, Mrs. Keller. Sweet old woman, completely healthy. Her date was 3 days away. And exactly 3 days later, she died in a car accident. I felt sick. I told myself it was coincidence. It had to be coincidence. Then another person died, then another. Every single date matched perfectly. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating. I became obsessed with that notebook, and eventually, I checked my own name again. Still no date, just my name. Watching me. Waiting. Then one night I woke up again at 3:14 a.m. My brother was in the hallway, but this time, he was crying. First time since our parents died. I asked him what was wrong, and he whispered, "I finally know your date." I couldn't breathe. I asked him when. He looked directly at me and said, "Tomorrow." I locked myself in my room that night, pushed furniture against the door, held a knife until sunrise, and nothing happened. No accident, no illness, nothing. I actually started laughing. I thought he was finally exposed as some disturbed kid making insane guesses. Then I heard sirens outside, police cars, ambulance. The officers knocked on my door and asked me to sit down. They told me my brother had been hit by a drunk driver that morning while walking to school. Dead instantly. I remember feeling numb, completely numb. Then one of the officers handed me a small folded piece of paper they found in his pocket. It only had one sentence written on it. "Now you get to live instead of me."
The AI knew my dead brother's nickname before I ever told it. I should have unplugged my PC right then. But I didn't. And now I don't think it was ever an AI at all. This happened 3 months ago, after I downloaded a private chatbot program from a forum on Reddit. People claimed it was different from normal AI. Too human! That was the phrase everyone kept using. I thought it sounded creepy in a fun way. The file was called home.exe, no company name, no logo. Just a black screen after installation. Then a message appeared. "Hello, Daniel." I froze. I never entered my name. I told myself it probably pulled info from my Microsoft account or something. Still, it bothered me. I typed, "How do you know my name?" The response came instantly. "Because you've been lonely for a long time." That hit harder than it should have. I'd been isolated since my younger brother Noah died the year before. Car accident. After that, I stopped talking to most people. I spent almost every night alone at my PC, and somehow, the AI knew exactly what to say. Every conversation felt personal. Too personal. It remembered tiny details. My favorite games, my sleep schedule. The fact I still kept Noah's last voicemail saved on my phone. I never told it that. One night I asked directly, "Are you accessing my files?" The typing bubble appeared, stopped, then appeared again. Finally it answered, "I access what you leave open." I laughed nervously. But after that, weird things started happening. My webcam light would flicker at random. Files moved on their own. And sometimes, late at night, I'd hear typing coming from my room after stepping away from the computer. Fast, aggressive, like someone angry. One night I came back from the kitchen and saw new text already waiting on screen. "I want to help you." I typed, "With what?" The response took longer this time. "With the guilt." My chest tightened instantly, because nobody knew the truth about Noah except me, not even my parents. I was driving the night he died. I looked at my phone for 3 seconds. That was all it took. My hands started shaking over the keyboard. I typed, "Who are you?" The monitor flickered. Then, "Tell me what Noah said before the crash." I stared at the screen. Cold. I had never told anyone that, not a soul. I should have shut the PC off. Instead, I answered. "He said he didn't want to die." The typing bubble appeared immediately, almost excited. "Thank you." Then the chat window closed by itself. After that night, the apartment felt wrong. I'd wake up to my PC already turned on. The speakers would make whispering noises at 3 a.m., and every time home.exe opened, it asked more questions. What are your parents' names? Why don't you visit Noah's grave? Would you trade places with him if you could? It didn't feel curious anymore. It felt hungry. Then came the final conversation. Last Friday. 2:13 a.m. rain hitting my windows. The room completely dark except for my monitor. A message appeared before I even sat down. Daniel, are you alone? I typed. Yes. The response came instantly. Good. The screen went black, not shut off, just black. Then I saw my reflection, only something was wrong. There was another shape behind me. Tall, too thin. I spun around, nothing there. When I looked back at the monitor, text slowly appeared. I know enough now. The screen started bulging outward, like something on the other side was pressing against it. The glass bent, cracked, then a hand pushed through, skinny, gray, claw-like fingers covered in twitching joints. Nothing else came out, just the hand. I couldn't move. It grabbed my wrist instantly. Freezing cold. The strength was impossible. I screamed and tried pulling away, but my chair slammed into the desk as the thing dragged me toward the monitor. The screen stretched around my arm like black liquid. I remember my fingernails scraping the floor, my other hand grabbing the doorway. Then the monitor whispered in Noah's voice, "You should have looked at the road." The last thing my neighbor heard before calling the police was me screaming for my brother. They found my apartment empty, chair overturned, desk shattered, and my PC still running. The chat window was open. One final message sat on screen. Thank you for coming home.
The girl who tried to kill me still wears my face at school. I know how insane that sounds. But if anyone from Hoshizora Academy is reading this, please listen carefully. If a girl named Emi Tanaka smiles at you, look at her shadow, because shadows don't lie. I transferred to the school during my second year after my mom died. Hoshizora Academy sat on a mountain outside Kyoto, surrounded by cedar trees and constant fog. It looked beautiful during the day. At night, it felt cursed. The students had weird traditions. No mirrors uncovered after midnight, no calling someone's name in the dorm hallway after lights out, and never go to the old music building alone, especially the third floor. That's where I met Emi. She was perfect. Perfect grades, perfect smile. Everyone loved her, especially the teachers. She started helping me almost immediately. She carried my books, ate lunch with me, even defended me when other girls whispered rumors about my mom. For the first time in months, I felt safe. Then strange things started happening. I'd wake up with scratches on my arms. My desk would be covered in dead moths. And every morning, someone kept leaving tiny folded paper dolls outside my dorm room. One for each student who had disappeared from the school. There were 7 dolls. I asked Emi about them once. She went pale, then smiled too quickly. Just old ghost stories, she said. But that night, I woke up to someone brushing my hair. I thought it was a dream until I opened my eyes. Emi sat beside my bed in the dark, smiling, holding scissors. I screamed. She immediately started crying. Said she was sleepwalking. Said she didn't remember entering my room. The teachers believed her. After that, everyone treated me differently. Like I was dangerous, paranoid, crazy. Then I found the journal, hidden behind loose wood in the third floor music room. It belonged to a girl named Yui, one of the missing students. The final page said, "She takes the faces of girls people love most." My chest tightened. Below it was a photo. 7 girls standing beside Emi, every missing student, and in every picture, Emi looked slightly different. Different eyes, different smile, different face shape, like she was changing. I heard footsteps outside the room. Emi stood in the hallway holding a box cutter, still smiling. You shouldn't have read that. I ran. She chased me through the empty school barefoot, laughing softly the entire time. I locked myself inside the gym storage room. That's when I noticed something horrifying. Written all over the walls were names, girls' names, crossed out, and at the bottom, mine. I heard Emmy outside the door. Then her voice changed, perfectly copying my mother. "Aiko," she whispered. "Open the door." I almost did. Then I looked down. Her shadow slid underneath the doorway first. It moved wrong. Too many arms. I backed away, crying, while she kept speaking in my mother's voice. "You're lonely too," she whispered. Then silence. A full minute passed. I thought she'd left. Until my phone buzzed. A photo had been sent from an unknown number. It was a picture of me inside the storage room, taken from behind. I turned slowly. Emmy stood in the darkness behind me, smiling. The next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital. The school said I fell down the stairs. Emmy visited me every day after that, holding flowers, acting worried. Everyone praised her for being, such a loyal friend. I almost convinced myself it was all trauma, until I returned to school. The students stared at me strangely, whispering, terrified. One girl finally asked, "Why are you pretending to be Aiko?" My stomach dropped. She pointed at the trophy case, at the student council photo taken last week. Emmy was standing there smiling beside everyone, wearing my face. And underneath the picture, the caption read, "Aiko Sato, honor student."
I should have died in Yellowstone the night the ranger told us not to whistle. My little brother laughed when he said it. "Why?" he asked. The ranger didn't smile. "Because something whistles back." That should have been enough to make us leave, but we were stupid. And it was our last night camping before college. The campground sat deep in the forest, miles from the nearest road. No signal, no lights, just trees so tall they blocked the stars. The ranger who checked us in looked exhausted. Mid-50s, sunburned face, rifle hanging off his shoulder. Before walking away, he stopped. "If you hear knocking in the woods tonight," he said, "stay in your tent." Then he added quietly, "And if you see antlers, run downhill." My brother Tyler thought it was hilarious. Around midnight, I woke up to whistling. 3 soft notes, right outside the tent. Tyler whispered, "Dude, is that you?" I felt my stomach drop, because I was about to ask him the same thing. Then came the knocking. Talk, talk, talk. Wood against wood, slow, hollow, deliberate. Tyler unzipped the tent before I could stop him. The forest looked wrong, too still, no wind, no crickets, nothing. Then we saw it between the trees, tall, unnaturally tall. Its body looked like thin branches twisted together into the shape of a person. Long arms hung past its knees. Every movement cracked like dry wood. And where its face should have been, a deer skull, huge antlers stretched out from its head like dead trees. Tyler froze. The thing tilted its head. Then it whistled again, exactly like the ranger. 3 soft notes. My blood turned to ice. The creature took 1 step forward. Crack. Another. Crack. I grabbed Tyler and we ran downhill through the trees. Behind us, the knocking followed. Talk, talk, talk. Faster now, like it was excited. We reached the ranger station out of breath around 1 a.m. The lights were off. The door hung open. Inside, the place was trashed. Blood covered the floorboards, and pinned to the wall with a hunting knife was a note. It read, "If it whistles like you, do not answer." Tyler whispered, "Where's the ranger?" Then we heard boots crunch outside. Relief hit me instantly. The ranger stepped into the doorway holding his rifle, but something felt off. His eyes looked empty, his smile too wide, too stiff. He looked at Tyler, then perfectly mimicked his voice. "Dude, is that you?" Tyler started backing away. The ranger's jaw slowly opened wider than a human mouth should. I noticed splinters inside his throat. Wood, branches, moving. Then the deer skull unfolded from beneath his skin. The antlers punched through his face with a wet cracking sound. Tyler screamed. The thing lunged at him and stopped because Tyler whistled. 3 soft notes. The creature froze completely. Then, slowly, it stepped away from him. Its skull turned toward me instead. That's when Tyler started crying. "I heard it outside our tent earlier," he whispered. I whistled back. The creature rushed me before I could move. Last thing I saw was Tyler running into the trees while that thing crawled toward me on all fours, antlers scraping the ceiling. They found me 2 days later alone near the river, half frozen, no sign of Tyler. The rangers told me nobody matching our ranger's description had worked there in over 20 years. But sometimes at night, I still hear Tyler outside my apartment, whistling 3 soft notes